morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Thursday, September 28th, the 271st day of 2023. Leading off the headlines this morning, a Missouri farmland auction broke the previous record set in Iowa as 115 acres of land sold for a record amount. The Missouri farmland sale smashed the previous record of $30,000 an acre set in Iowa. The bill of sale from Dyer and Fenner auctioneers said the record sale happened last week in Saline County, Missouri. Two farmers got into a bidding war, and in only 15 minutes, the 115 acres set the new record at $34,800 per acre. The buyer wasn't an investor. The winning bid came from a farmer named Jeff Baxter from neighboring Carroll County, Missouri. Area farmers say the competing bidder was a farmer whose home farm touched the land that was up for sale. Farm Journal's AgWeb says the bidding started at $15,000 an acre for that piece of ground. It's been in the same family for 4 generations, and the bids climb very fast. Well, the Senate Ag Committee has held a hearing on foreign purchases and ownership of U.S. farmland and other farm-related businesses. More from USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
Food security is national security.
Senate Ag Committee Chair Debbie Stabenow opening up a special hearing Wednesday to explore how foreign ownership of U.S. farmland and food-related companies might be a threat to national security, and if so, what to do about it. USDA Deputy Undersecretary Gloria Montano Green told lawmakers many people believe USDA should just, for example, move in and tightly restrict foreign purchases of U.S. ag land. However,
our authority does not allow us to stop the selling of foreign land. We do not have authority to have a decision in foreign or domestic land purchases and leases.
USDA does have the job of tracking and disclosing land deals, but the system for doing that is a complex patchwork.
There are more than 3,000 county clerks and recorders' offices, or their equivalent, more than 50 state systems, and more than 500 sovereign tribal nations processing and tracking of land ownership and land transfer.
And it's still being done on paper. She said USDA is doing what it can to improve the system, but it needs more resources and people to do it. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Well, we're one day closer to the expiration of the current Farm Bill, and longtime Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley now expects the 2018 Farm Bill will have to be extended for a year. The spending bill chaos in the House and an earlier debt limit deal that put a straitjacket on Farm Bill funding led Senator Grassley to one conclusion.
As time flies by, I think we're going to have a 1-year extension and hopefully not a 2-year extension.
But Grassley cautions even if Congress passed a Farm Bill this year, any new help for farmers wouldn't make up for next year's big projected drops in crop prices.
Let's say that we did increase the reference prices. That would help to some extent, but it's not going to make up for a 30% decline in income for corn.
Contributing to the Farm Bill mess is House chaos over spending, including agriculture spending. Subcommittee Chair Andy Harris.
This legislation reins in some of the administration's wasteful, out-of-control spending. For instance, it removes the Secretary's discretionary use of the Commodity Credit Corporation to fund unauthorized, non-emergency programs by returning statutory language to its pre-COVID language.
Democrats accuse the GOP of making huge cuts to farm, feeding, energy, rural development, and equity programs unlikely to pass in the Senate. Sanford Bishop on Tuesday.
It astonishes me that we are 4 days away from a government shutdown, yet we're not debating a bipartisan bill to keep the government open. Instead, we're debating an extreme messaging bill that does nothing to bring us closer to the bipartisan agreement we will need to eventually pass a full-year government spending bill.
The Senate was working on a short-term bill to keep the government open past Saturday when funding runs out, setting up a last-minute shutdown showdown with the House. The Farm Bill also expires on Saturday. Well, the National Corn Growers Association launched a grassroots advocacy campaign to encourage the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to provide a level playing field for biofuels like ethanol. The organization wants corn growers and advocates to make their voices heard by submitting comments to the agency. The campaign comes after NHTSA proposed hiking the corporate average fuel economy standard, referred to as the CAFE standard. It regulates how much fuel a vehicle consumes per mile. The agency's current proposal would move the fleet average for small cars and light trucks from 44 to 58 miles per gallon by 2032. NCGA President Tom Hagg says the proposal sets an unattainable goal and concerning precedent. Auto manufacturers will be forced to overlook viable solutions in high-octane biofuels like corn and ethanol to meet these standards, Hagg says. This would minimize the role biofuels play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and saving consumers money. Well, what factors could shape trends regarding projected prices for commodities in the foreseeable future? Here with the details is USDA Radio's Rod Bain.
When it comes to a farm commodity price perspective,
we're kind of heading in a direction where the market's much more sanguine about supplies for corn, for beans, and yet we maintain a fair amount of uncertainty for wheat. And I think that's not surprising given what we're observing in the Black Sea.
USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer at this week's AgriPulse Agricultural Outlook Forum in Kansas City. He says prices for those commodities and commodities in general are easing compared to higher prices at the start of the Ukrainian conflict.
At a global level, when it comes to corn and beans, we're facing increased competition, and that's also why I think you're seeing the volatility narrow. There appear to be substantive enough crops that folks aren't anxious about the pricing of those crops.
What this may mean regarding farm income in 2023, perhaps a narrowing of margins, with farm prices coming down and a slowing down of the decrease in farm input prices this year. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Well, you can keep up with the latest in the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go this harvest season. We'll get you through those long, challenging days this fall. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.